If you've been wanting to get into retro camcorders and you're not really sure where to start, or you're not wanting to spend a lot of money on camcorders that are 20 to 30 years old, well, then this video might be for you. I'm going to be going over 5 different kinds of camcorders that are reliable but cheap enough to not break the bank. And if you're looking for different ways to capture your footage, I have a link up above in the cards if you want to check that out. All the different kinds of ways that I have tried capturing footage and that I have actually used to capture footage. So if you're not sure how to capture footage from old tape camcorders, you guys can watch that and learn how to do that in the least expensive way possible. So my list of camcorders, they're not going to be statistically the ones that are most reliable by everybody, but these are ones that I have used and in my experience have been the best camcorders that are reliable but also aren't going to break the bank. So our first kind of camcorder are JVC VHSC camcorders from around the time frame of the late 90s to early 2000s. So I would base this around camcorders that were released around 1997 up to about 2003. If you're new to all this, VHSC stands for compact VHS. So these are smaller handheld VHS camcorders. They just take a mini VHS tape, or like a compact VHS tape. So that's where VHSC comes from. So you'll still get that VHS look that is very nostalgic, especially. It's a very similar look to the like full-size VHS camcorders. They're just mini and a lot easier to pack around with you. And I've actually tried out a few different kinds of these camcorders. I've had a few for quite a while over the years, and these ones are actually probably some of the most reliable tape camcorders that I have actually messed with. Generally, they don't have some form of a tape compartment issue unless like somehow they have like damage, like water damage, or if it's been dropped somehow. I think a lot of these camcorders were bought back in the day and only used for a short while. So generally you can find these at like your thrift stores. You can go on to Facebook Marketplace, eBay, Macari, any kind of secondhand website where you can buy things. You can find these. They're all over the place, and some have screens, some don't, but they'll all have viewfinders on them. So some examples of camcorders, or I guess models that I've used that I definitely recommend, are the JVC GR-AXM50. I had that one. That was actually my first retro camcorder I actually ever bought. I got it at a thrift store for like $15, which is honestly a little steep for finding camcorders at a thrift store, but I never knew if it worked. I ended up buying a battery for it, put it on there, and it worked completely fine. Yeah, I had that one for years. I actually just sold that one only like 6 months ago or so, just because I never used it. And some other models would be the GR-AX46, the GR-SXM250. Now this one is a Super VHS camcorder. So Super VHS, you'll get a little bit better video quality out of it, and really the only difference is you'll have an S-Video plugin along with your RCA component plugins as well. So you'll get a little bit better video footage out of it. And lastly, the GR-SV3. And I have reviews on all of these camcorders, so you can go and check out the playlist I have down below for JVC camcorders. That'll be linked in the description or in the cards above if you want to learn more about those camcorders and look into getting one for yourself. But most of these camcorders you can find. There might be people out there like on eBay and stuff that are a little bit stingy and try to sell them for a very high price just because they're confirmed to be working. But I wouldn't pay no more than like $50 for one of these. And if you're gonna be paying like $50 for one, make sure it comes with like a bag or like batteries, some kind of accessories and stuff. If it's just the camcorder, no. Like, don't pay $50 for it, especially if it's untested. Not that they're unreliable, but just because they are an old cheap camcorder and you shouldn't be paying a lot for them these days anyway. Okay, so number 2 on my list is gonna be in the exact same ballpark, but you can never go wrong with late 90s, early 2000s Panasonic VHSC camcorders. They're shaped very similar, they're extremely reliable, They pretty much work the exact same way. You might have some better bells and whistles and stuff like that, but pretty much all the Panasonic VHSC camcorders I've ever used, they work properly. You just throw a battery on it, which these VHSC camcorders, there's a huge abundance of batteries out there. I'll have links in the description for them as well. But you can find them on eBay, you can find them on Amazon, all over the place, and they're really not that expensive, even if you buy it with a charger. But again, with the VHSC Panasonic camcorders, I would definitely try and shoot for ones that are like the late 90s, early 2000s. From just my experience of the ones that I've tested out, they are the most reliable ones. One that has been iffy, and I've had a couple of them, are the models, the PV-42. That one's from like 92 or 93, and I've had one that worked completely properly, and then there was another one, I think either the capacitors were going bad or someone like pointed it like right at the sun or something, so like it had a weird like glitchy effect to it. To me, I thought it looked kind of cool, but yeah, it did have some kind of a problem. A great one that I recommend is the Panasonic PV-209D. I have a review on that one as well, if you want to check that out. Probably one of the best VHSC camcorders that I've used so far. Just the one that I got was like the physical condition of it was in really good shape, and all of the like mechanical features and stuff, buttons and everything, worked completely fine on it. It was a really great camcorder, honestly. So let's move on to number 3. And these camcorders are slightly bit more expensive, but I find that they are generally pretty reliable as well. And these are the Sony TRV models, specifically the CCD TRV models. So they're going to be your Sony High 8 camcorders. And these ones, I usually find them in the ballpark around like 120 bucks, which is a little bit more expensive, but to me, I think they have a better video quality and a video look than the like VHSC camcorders. And these ones are really popular with a lot of people. There's a million different kind of models out there. They're all generally pretty much the same. They might have like maybe a bigger screen, they might have a cold shoe on it, maybe a light that's attached to the bottom, a couple different things here and there, but generally like they're all the exact same. So these ones are great. I've only found a couple of them that were broken or had some kind of an issue, but when I kind of examined them, they had some form of damage, like they were dropped or had some kind of like mold issue, like it was left in a wet environment or had some kind of just water damage in some kind of way. So most of the ones that I've used they work properly. You know, you can get them untested and get them for really cheap, but generally, like if they are tested and confirmed working, you can get them for somewhere usually between like 120 to 150 bucks, and sometimes they come with a lot of different accessories. So some models that I have used and recommend would be the Sony CCD TRV 37, the TRV 62, and the TRV 65. Now, in my opinion, the TRV 65 was my favorite. It felt like it was very well built. It kind of seemed like it had like the best video footage, but the 62 model, and I think generally the ones that end in like a 2, so if you got like the 52 or the 62, 72, you know, so on and so forth, those models seem to have a larger LCD screen. So those ones have like a 3.5 inch LCD screen, where pretty much all the other ones have a 2.5 inch LCD screen. And some of them will have black and white viewfinders, and some of them will have colored viewfinders. It's just depends on the model that you get. They come with a few different kinds of bells and whistles built into the camera. So those ones are very fun to film with, and generally probably one of the most popular retro camcorders that you can buy. So number 4, we'll move into the mini DV camcorder world, and some models that I recommend are the Canon ZR models. Now, these ones can be hit and miss if they work properly or not, but again, they usually have some form of damage, and that's why they don't work. But you'll find a lot of these that are untested. You can get models from like the ZR10 all the way up to like the ZR960, I think was the last model, and I think might have been one of the last mini DV camcorders to be produced, and that was like all the way in like 2012. So there's a huge range of them. They're all shaped pretty similarly, and they are pretty basic. They are very, very affordable. I've never spent a lot of money on one. Maybe 60 bucks tops, but that's because it was confirmed to be working. But you can definitely find some that are a lot cheaper than that. So some of the models that I've tested out are the ZR45 and the ZR60. Years ago, before I even really started this channel, I had one that was the ZR85, and that one was a really good model as well. That one didn't even have any problems. So yeah, you can find pretty much any of these models, and they're pretty much all the exact same. Again, kind of like the Sony TRV models, you might get some better bells and whistles and stuff like that on these little mini DV camcorders. But these things are so small that you could pack them like in your coat pocket, or even if you have big enough pockets in your pants, you could put it in your pants pocket. Like, they're super light and they're really just easy to use. So I definitely recommend one of these if you're looking to get a mini DV camcorder and you don't want to break the bank and you're just starting out dabbling with retro video footage and stuff like that. But if you're looking for more of a professional feel or prosumer level feel, for number 5, I would pick the Canon GL1 or a GL2. And just to show how much I recommend it, I still have one. This is probably one of my favorite mini DV camcorders. It's got that like nostalgic, famous like VX1000 kind of look to it. But the thing is it's a lot smaller than most prosumer level mini DV camcorders. It comes with a 3 CCD sensor in it. You get a 2.5-inch LCD screen, colored viewfinder, has great audio. I find these cameras to be more reliable than a Canon GL2. In my opinion, they kind of built the GL2 to kind of fail. That way you have to send it in and they make more money on you by repairing your camcorder. And I've found more GL2s to have problems than the GL1s. So I definitely recommend one of these over a GL2 if you have been looking into these and you have maybe been kind of dabbling on which one you should go with. I definitely recommend the GL1. It's really small. You can fit a 58mm fisheye on here for skateboarding if you want to, and they're more, to me, the GL1 is more fun to film with than the GL2. That's my recommendation. And what's cool about those is you can find a lot of them on eBay, and I generally find them for like a good working one for like 150 bucks. Like, they're really not that much. You might pay 200 if it comes with like some accessories and stuff like that, but they're actually pretty affordable. Same with the GL2s, but I like the GL1 a lot better. It has a little bit more of like a retro look to it, more of an old school kind of VX1000 look, and the GL2 is a little bit newer looking. So that's my recommendation. If you're looking for a prosumer level retro camcorder, maybe you want to use it for skateboarding or like documentaries, maybe some short films, something like that. They're not going to cost you a lot. I find them pretty reliable for the kind of camcorder that they are, and you can find some that aren't used and abused like the Sony VX models would be. That's my recommendation for a prosumer level 3CCD camcorder if you're looking for something of that realm. And those are my top 5 picks for beginner reliable retro camcorders for anyone starting out there. I'll leave links in the description or the cards with playlists for these kinds of camcorders. So I have a bunch of different playlists for like Panasonic, JVC, VHS kind of camcorders. So you can check those out in the description below if you want to learn more about these camcorders. And I thank you so much for sticking around and watching this video through. And let me know what kind of content you want to see in the future. I've been sitting on this video idea for a little while and just thought that I would quickly set up where I'm at right here and shoot it. And so here we are. So thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you leave a like. And if you enjoy the content, make sure you subscribe, because we talk about old school retro camcorders almost on a weekly basis. And on that note, we'll see you in the next video. Have a good one.